Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to 2C TV and tonight's live updates from the Middle East. It's all kicking off. The Islamists are falling apart. The Islamic Republic of Iran, their infighting inside the regime is escalating, but also with their so-called allies. Hamas are not too happy, ladies and gentlemen. Yahya Sinwar and all the others as well. There's a bit of an issue because, as usual, the Islamist side are becoming divided. Now, at times, it goes back to the historic divide between the Shia and Sunni side. Now we have, obviously, Khaled Mashal from Hamas also talking about how Iran have betrayed, the Islamic Republic of Iran have betrayed the movement. This isn't really the first time. Over the last few months, we've had a number of key figures, even the co-founder of Hezbollah kicking off, saying that the Ayatollah in Iran, the supreme leader, is a traitor. What we're going to talk about tonight is the latest information in regards to the Islamic resistance front. We also have a couple of updates in regards to what's happening from the Western side, their perspective. The United States, the current so-called president, Sleepy Joe, and the former president, Donald Trump as well. But we have to start by talking about these guys. Yes, this is Khaled Mashal. He's one of the few remaining senior leaders of Hamas who doesn't actually live in Gaza. Surprise, surprise. He's loving his luxury life, mostly in Qatar, and he's been quite outspoken. He has a new allegation, ladies and gentlemen. He now says that the people behind the assassination of Ismail Haniyeh were in fact the IRGC. It was in fact the supreme leader of Iran who assassinated him in Tehran, and it wasn't actually the Jews. Watch this.
إيران اغتالت الأخ أبو العبد هنية في الله يرحمه في وين؟ في طهران.
Yes, that was Mashal literally saying that these guys decided to assassinate Ismail Haniyeh in Tehran. It was the Islamic Republic behind it. Now this is going to put more pressure on the Iranian regime. A lot of people say the reason he did this was to simply put more pressure on the Islamic Republic to do more attacks on Israel. That's simply the main reason. Now, in reality, they don't know what they're doing. They are completely all over the place. This isn't really the first time. Also, Khaled Mashal, who was in Qatar mostly, but now he spends his time in Turkey because Turkey is now the safe haven for these nutters. Khaled Mashal hanging out in Turkey with Erdogan and his regime. These guys are essentially at this point becoming a puppet of the new weirdo, Erdogan, because Erdogan is going to continue what I call the Islamic globalist movement after the Islamic Republic falls. And I can assure you the Islamic Republic of Iran will fall, and it will be sooner than you think. But this continues. For example, look at this. Eli David says, what happened today? Iran arrested Ismail Ghani, obviously he was the head of the IRGC's Quds Force in the Middle East, for suspicion of being an Israeli agent. Hamas leader Khaled Mashal said that Iran assassinated Hamas, the head of Hamas, Ismail Haniyeh, in Tehran. And then Eli said, they have all turned on each other. I wish them good luck. So let's not forget, if you talk about Ismail Ghani, who is currently, yesterday they said he was under lockdown, right? That means he's being tortured in Iran. He was the head, he technically still is the head of IRGC's Quds Force. He went missing for a while. Now they found him. Now they say they found him, and now they're torturing him because they say he's a Mossad agent. And then last night he had a heart attack. They said he just happened to have a heart attack while he was being questioned. How do you randomly have a heart attack while you're being questioned? We know why. They turn on each other. They're complete, absolute nutters. So obviously there's no proper evidence that he was a Mossad agent, but it's highly likely that he was a Mossad agent, but probably not by choice. They probably had something on him. You never know. He was pretty loyal. You know, he seemed pretty loyal. Maybe he was a very, very good double agent. But the saga and the drama continues. So there have been a lot of reaction on social media. This person said, this image explains the situation in Iran. It's true. They should have actually probably picked the Spider-Man meme. That would have been more appropriate. They're saying, no, you're the traitor. No, you're the traitor. No, you're the traitor. Yes, they're all traitors. This is the issue. Now, Sky News Arabia also reported that, as we said, when Ismail Haqqani was being questioned, he was hospitalized after suffering a heart attack during an interrogation to find out whether he is a Mossad spy. The Islamic regime in Iran believes that it was an Iranian who sold out Hassan Nasrallah. Now, for the record, Sky News Arabia need to be more clear to the public, because most of these people inside Iran, in charge of the Iranian regime, are not actually Iranian. You can't just say Iranian. They are the Islamic occupiers who are now in Iran since 1979. But also, especially if they are older and they've been around for a while, a lot of them came from the foreign countries in the region to take over Iran. But that's not really the main point. The main point is, the Western side, we don't really have a leader right now. That's why you have a bunch of warmongers from the US Democrats, the globalists, who just want conflict for the sake of it, because, you know, there's a lot of business in it. You also have a president who doesn't actually know what he's talking about. Joe Biden, for example. I don't know if you guys saw this clip. This is from yesterday, I believe. He was asked about Benjamin Netanyahu, and this is what he said.
Mr. President, what did Prime Minister Netanyahu tell you about his plans relating to retaliation?
He's coming over to help with a storm.
Mr. President, what did Benjamin Netanyahu say about his plans to you? And then Biden said, he's coming over to help with the storm. Well, in Florida. So, essentially, I just read, I got something in my tooth. Essentially, we have a situation where these men who think that we are stupid, because it's not Biden running the show, we know that. And there are people, and people, when we say Barack Obama, it's not him directly, it's his people. They're the actual puppet masters. So, for example, going to President Trump and everything that he stands for and everything that he is fighting against, it's quite clear that the rest of the establishment, the globalist elites, they don't want this to happen, because they have their own plan, which is a non-plan for the Middle East. But in reality, I mean, I can show you what Trump was talking about. Let's quickly go to Trump.
We're going to go with 100% and 150% tariffs. So if anything does get through, you're going to have to pay tariffs. You know, China is very smart, I'll tell you. When I put the tariffs on the steel, they were very unhappy, but they didn't tell me. They said, it doesn't matter with China. I said, oh, it doesn't bother them, so then ask them for more. That was my initial reaction. We started at 25%. That's what they said, but it did bother them. But they're great players. They're great poker players. It didn't bother them. I said, well, ask them for more. Ask them for more, until it bothers them. And finally, I got a call from President Xi. He said, you're killing us with the tariffs. They're great poker players. They're great negotiators. All these countries are great negotiators. The only one that isn't is the U.S. We're the dumb country. We're like the pot of gold that's rapidly shrinking. So very much like I told them that if they buy oil from Iran, I would not be trading with them.
If they buy oil from Iran, they would not be trading. So that goes against the vested interests. And it's not really just led by the Americans. There's also the rest of the multinational companies who are some Europeans. And a lot of them, obviously, every single one of them are involved with the World Economic Forum and their annual conferences in Davos, and just throughout the whole year as well. A lot of people think that the World Economic Forum is simply just a one-off annual thing that happens in Davos. Throughout the whole year, they are very much active as well. And it goes against everything that people like Trump, people like Javier Milei, people like Netanyahu, people like Reza Pahlavi, the Crown Prince of Iran, people like Elon Musk as a businessman, everything these people stand for. It goes against the interests of the multinationals who have their own idea of the worldview, because it helps them. It helps them not necessarily just to make money. This is really just about greed. When you become relatively successful And, rightly or wrongly, and some people obviously just steal other people's ideas, like Bill Gates. But the idea is that you get to a point and you have access to influence and power. A lot of them create this God complex issue. Bill Gates is a perfect example. Someone with God complex. Then they believe that they are the only ones, that they could actually... It satisfies them because they've already made the money. They've already done a lot of stuff. The arrogance that it creates for humanity, that's the problem. When people say power corrupts, access corrupts as well. And the whole idea is that then they think, it's not because they are moral, but they think they are moral. And that means that if they have to bend the rules for themselves, they will do it. And they've done it so many times. And we are where we are because of the mess that these idiots have created over the last few decades. Let's get some reaction on this story from you guys. We have the first super chat from Israel. The world keeps pressing Israel to not attack in urban areas, yet not a single word of the drone attack on a senior citizen center in... That's the thing. So it's not really a surprise anymore. What we've seen is even the direct attacks from Iran was excused and justified by the international media. So what we had was, two things. Gaza and Hamas. They have the Gaza Health Ministry, which is basically Hamas. For months and months, they've been giving out false data to the world. And all the international media, you've been using them as a credible source. The Gaza Health Ministry said innocent civilians died. Then they got embarrassed and they were exposed. They had to apologize to the United Nations for giving out false data. Nobody really reported on that. Some did. We did. Same thing that happened when Iran attacked directly with the ballistic missiles recently. And then obviously the drone attacks a few months ago in April. That was a big fail. But the missile attacks, right? They hit everything. They aimed to hit everything. The international media, they used the Islamic Republic of Iran as a credible source. The Islamic Republic of Iran said, we only hit 2 or 3 military sites in Israel. The international media reported that, saying, yeah, then they're not attacking urban areas and civilians. But when it comes to Israel, and all the others who actually are on the ground, providing evidence that the IDF, for example, are doing targeted attacks, then they go all over the place. When Israel gets attacked, like today and yesterday and 2 days ago and a whole week, Israel has been under attack, different attacks. You had terrorist attacks, you had the actual attacks, you had missiles on a daily basis from both the north and the south. Media are not really interested. Next super chat. Hey Maya, greetings from Croatia. Hello Croatia. I love Croatia. Been to Dubrovnik a couple of times, one of my favorite places. Mandy says, evening, I hope you have had a good day in your new home. What do you think about the money and gold and all being burned? So I do have to obviously relatively apologize as well, because we're still in the first week of being here and I'm still basically behind my schedule. There's been a lot that I was supposed to be reporting yesterday and today. It's been difficult, but it's still on the list. So tomorrow you're going to see a number of videos coming out on this channel, which you would say, I already heard that yesterday. But hopefully my analysis will still help, even if you've already heard the news. We're going to talk about the attack that happened in Germany, in the cinema in Germany. We're going to talk about the evidence against the IRGC, what they've been using against Israel. We're going to talk about what's happening in British politics with Suella Braverman being targeted by Islamists. The whole thing is insane, but I'm on top of it. I'm just a little bit behind, so sorry guys. Right, let's go back. PC says, Maya, stay safe, friend. Safe and sound. Thank you. Oh, also, in case you don't know, in case you missed my biggest announcement for the past few days, some of you might already be familiar with a YouTube account called Apostate Prophet. Apostate Prophet has been very good for the past few years. An outspoken ex-Muslim. 2 updates. Number 1, we will be doing a special collaboration together. We're going to interview him on this channel, and I'm going to go on his channel. But the second piece of news is that the Apostate Prophet will be joining 2C TV Plus very soon with his own special show that he's preparing. again, this is about exposing Islam and everything else around that issue. So hopefully you guys will enjoy that. If you want to obviously watch that and everything else that we have, make sure to sign up to 2CTV Plus, but use the promo code Studio25, 25% off annual memberships. Studio 25 capital letters. Go on 2ctvplus.tv or find the link in the description. We had this promo code for a couple of days, but I thought I extend it because I've been quite absent. For the next 2 days you can actually have it, so make sure to take advantage of that, because we're also publishing our new show as well, which is this is actually, I think, I don't know what's going on with this thing. There we go. I am very proud of this one, because this is called The Origins of Anti-Semitism. This show will be going live hopefully by Sunday, yes, on 2CTV Plus. We have a set of new presenters joining 2CTV Plus. The team is growing. We still have David Starkey, the British historian, also joining 2CTV Plus. Hopefully in a couple of months, in a few months. We're still obviously sorting out the details of his show and everything else about history. Obviously Stephen Barrett, the barrister, is there. So we've got a lot coming as well. Big updates on 2CTV Plus. Dennis from the US says, you and Trump need to keep up the fight, brother. Stay safe. Thank you, Mr. G. Mr. G. Another one, Bearcat says, Bearcat, what is the difference between a Muslim and Islamist? So glad you're safe. You're safely. So in reality, if you are a true Muslim in terms of believing in the actual text and everything about and practicing it, if you claim to be a real Muslim, then by default you would be an Islamist by default. Now there are a lot of ordinary Muslims out there who claim that they are Muslim, but in reality a lot of them haven't actually read the book. They think they've read the book, they haven't read the book. Most Muslims actually grow up as culturally Muslim. They grow up by just listening to imams or their parents telling him about Islam and the book, saying, oh, nice stuff, just it says nice things, yeah, it's very peaceful, and they think they know, but they don't know. Obviously they don't know, so they're not necessarily Islamists. But if you're a true Muslim, you would be an Islamist. So there's no difference necessarily between a Muslim and Islamist. The only reason that I use the word Islamist is it's because it offends them. It triggers them, because it makes it sound like a political ideology, which it is. It is a political ideology. From day one it was. So they don't like to be called Islamists, so I call them Islamists. But also mostly because the rest of the cultural Muslims, who are, with all due respect, they are ignorant, because they don't even know their book. So they are basically, they might have regressive views, let's just say, not necessarily violence, but for example, when it comes to gay rights and things like that, or individual liberty, but they are relatively harmless. They just live their lives. They might not eat pork, but they're fine, right? As long as they integrate into the Western society, right? But I'm talking about random cultural Muslims who live in the Middle East or wherever they are. That they're not necessarily terrorists, and they're not necessarily into jihad. But if you are a true Muslim, by default, you would be an Islamist. If you believe in the book, if you read the book, if you actually believe in everything that it stands for. The whole thing is a political ideology. That's the whole point of it. I mean, there's been so many issues, and as I said, Apostle Prophet is going to be coming on this channel. I'll interview him and I'll go on his channel. Then obviously he's going to get his own segment in his show on 2CTV Plus. When he comes on, I will talk to him and you'll see. In case you haven't seen his channel, go check it out, by the way, Apostle Prophet. There's so many issues that I can speak to him and he can tell you guys. Obviously he's an ex-Muslim. I was never Islamic, but I was born in an Islamic, under an Islamic regime. Iran is not an Islamic country, but an Islamic regime, Islamic occupation. There's so much to say about the false so-called prophecy. A lot of the text copied and pasted, stolen from the Abrahamic religions, and it claims to be an Abrahamic religion, but it's not, including the name of the God, which is Allah, instead of Yahweh. But there are Arabic names, Islamic names, that literally has Yahweh in it, like Yahya, and their version, obviously. And then these names have been mentioned in the Quran. But then apparently God says, I'm Allah. And that's not really just an Arabic translation of God. It's the title of God, not the name of it. There's so much we can say, obviously, on this topic, but I'll wait for Pastor Prophet to explain all that as well. Hi Maya, I'm an 88-year-old patriot born in 1936, bombed in my own home at the age of 5, and consequently well aware of the great dangers that our great country has faced in the past. This is becoming rare in the West. I've been saying this for a long time now. Again, not to make it about myself and my family and certain other people. People in the West have been relatively, inside the West, have been relatively over the past few decades living in peace. Now, so any tiny corruption or issues, civil conflict, people see it as this is the end of the world as we know it. This is the world's country now, dictatorship, and we're all going to die, and war, right? But those people like Mr. Perry, who actually have seen, as a child, but still they feel the environment in actual war, actual conflict. And myself, I've been in conflicts, I've seen conflicts in real life. There is a problem, which is it's a good thing, but it's a problem. In the West, because the recent generation have been living in relative peace, not peace in the world, there's chaos everywhere, just not inside London, for example. I mean, London is chaotic. In Britain, in European countries, they I don't want to use the word privileged or spoiled, but you become out of touch about the realities of life, that wars and conflicts are the natural state of humanity and the world. It's not a good thing. You aspire, you thrive, you strive for peace, but like any other creature, conflict, aggression, violence, force was always the natural state. People not being familiar with actual conflicts makes it difficult for them to actually notice real evil. When you go around calling everybody Hitler, whether that person is, for example, in America, when George W. Bush was president, the Democrats called him Hitler. When Mitt Romney stood in 2012, they called him Hitler. And then when Trump stood in 2016, they called him Hitler. So when a real Hitler comes up, eventually, you're not going to notice him because you just called every single person Hitler. It's stupid. The whole thing is stupid. Spoiled. Let's get more reaction from you guys. Joe says, what do you think Corbyn is up to while all this is going? Jeremy Corbyn, I'm guessing you're talking about, is probably missing his friends. He's a little bit lonely. All his Hezbollah friends are dying left, right and centre. RG says, Iran international report of a vast cyber attack on all government branches, nuclear sites and oil sites. I hope it is actually true. To be fair, I mean, I have my own problems with Iran international, but they are probably correct on this. We'll get the information for you guys and obviously analyze the whole story as well later on. I believe this is all the reactions. What's going on? Let's get a couple of non-super chats as well. Honestly, it says Muslims are 1,400 years behind. They simply never left the Middle Ages. The issue with this is, by the way, a lot of Muslim apologists came out to say, well, it's a younger religion. It's a few hundred years younger than Christianity. It will get there. Give it another 500 years. No, because it's very different. The text cannot be edited. Nothing gets reformed. There's no reformation when it comes to Quran. So it's not the same thing. Even if you wait 2,000 more years, it's not going to change. Now, individual Muslims and culturally, you can change them. They can modernize and reform, but not the actual text, not the actual ideology. That's never going to change. But yes, they are. That's why they're still stuck in the past. That's the main reason. Anyway, that's the latest update for you guys. Just a quick reminder, don't forget to sign up to 2CTV Plus. For the next 2 days, you can use the promo code STUDIO25 to get 25% off annual memberships. Go on 2ctvplus.tv. And the good news is that we are Also introducing a new 2CTV app to make it easier for you guys to use 2CTV Plus and also connect it to your smart TVs and everything else. This channel and the whole operation is growing despite death threats, despite cancellation attempts. We are continuing to go and never surrender, never give up, never surrender. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Maya Tusi, and we are the media.